Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Hello, fellow Fox fans. Just when you thought it was safe to get off the computer and go and jingle your bells, we're back. Me and Craig, we both had a little bit of a break, a bit of a drink, something to eat, and probably taken a quick Viagra as well to keep us going. This is what you're watching.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chums. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Pinterest. All you need for everything Leicester City FC. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. Leicester Till I Die. Now available on Spotify.
It is, and it's the second show of the evening, so I'm not going to go. You know where we are. If you don't know where we are by now, what stone have you been living under? They're all, look, hang on, they're all that way, there we go. They're over there somewhere. Where we are, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Periscope, and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube, and post-match, Spotify, Google, Apple, and many, many, many other podcasts, which you can find on our website, www.leicestertillidie.com /podcasts. So let me bring in, if I'm going to be the Father Christmas, I'm going to bring in my elf, and let's hope he's not playing with his elf. And it's a good evening from me, and it's a good evening from him. Good evening. Good evening, Craig.
Good evening, Chris. Here we are again. A little costume change, and we're back. We are the vaccine to all that anti-Leicester chat on Sky, and we're here giving you a double dose.
And I think we should have our own show on Sky, don't you? But and shh,
that would be
this isn't a costume change. This is a completely separate day. It's a completely different show.
Of course it is.
You know, but I must admit, looking very festive now, Craig.
Thank you very much. Never let it be said that I haven't let the Christmas spirit get to me.
No, you can never have too much Christmas spirit, usually with a little bit of ice and a bit of a mixer. We've just in the previous show, on a previous occasion, on a previous day, we were looking at Man United. We've just got a matter of this coming up on the 28th. Now, this is going to be really, really hard to look at because obviously we're doing this before we've played the next game, which is Man United, and obviously a lot of things can happen in there. But we've got Palace. Let me just get these figures up here, guys, for you. This is on the 28th, and this is the one I thought the Boxing Day one was on Amazon. This is a 3 p.m. kickoff on the 28th, which is of December. Is that a Saturday or a Sunday? The 28th. Oh, it's a Monday. 3 p.m. kickoff, and that one is on Amazon Prime. So a bit of a break from Sky over Christmas. We've got BT and Amazon, who actually quite like us and do give us a mention, but. Let's have a look at the history, Craig. That looks a bit better than the Man United one. 73 played, 28 won, 27 lost. It's a bit closer, that one.
Wow! We've finally got one where we're ahead in the games won.
So we had to dig right down to it to find Palace to do it.
Yeah.
In the Premier League, 16 times we've played. That's a bit closer. Well, the other one was close, wasn't it? There was only one in it. 8 times we've won. 6 times they've won, 2 draws. And what happened last season? We won that. Can we play Palace all the time, please? Or can we at least do the preview show all the time? Look at that. 3-0 we beat them, and we actually beat... Although, in fairness, we did play them twice before lockdown. 3-0 at home, 2-0 away, we won. This game's away. You've got to be feeling a bit more confident because it is away. We do seem to be playing better away from home, don't we?
We do seem to play better away from home. We've got a fantastic away record, 8 out of 9 victories away from home, which is unheard of for us. But this will be a tough one, I think. Palace are tough at the best of times. I think last year, I think it was a tight game. If I remember rightly, I think Soyuncu scored in the away game. And obviously, we're still missing him. Palace on their own turf, whether there's fans in or not, is always a tough game. I know Liverpool made them look very, very ordinary the other day, but it was a funny game because Palace played pretty well in that game and they could have scored themselves. It's just Liverpool's finishing on that day was devastating. I think they only had something like 9 shots on target and 7 went in, but there were some fantastic finishes. But again, a lot of those goals were scored against Palace on the break, which should give us optimism that we can get something out of the game. My only sort of trepidation, I guess, is the kind of team that we will put out there. I think coming so soon after the Man U game, he's going to play a strong team against Manchester United. I think if you had to sacrifice one of these games, I think in olden times, when we were struggling down the bottom end of the table, you would have said we would sacrifice the Man United game because we need to win against the teams who are going to be down with us near the bottom. So we need to concentrate on beating Crystal Palace. Mm-hmm. I think we're now in a totally different situation. I think the game that we need to concentrate on winning is, though, again, the one who's going to be in and around us in the table, and it's going to be Manchester United. So I think the Manchester United result is, it may sound strange, is the more important one, that we get a victory there. I would sacrifice a victory against Palace for one against Manchester United, because at the end of the day, Man United are going to be the ones who are going to be higher up the table and challenging us for European spots. So, and I think Brendan will go that way as well. I think he'll put a strong team out against Manchester United and then ring quite a few changes against Palace 2 days later.
Well, we'll find out if when you put his shoes on later, if you do the same. I mean, it's weird because the next game we've got coming up is a team that's just won 6-2, was it, against Leeds, and then after that we're playing a team that has just been stuffed by Liverpool. I mean, when you're looking at the form there, again we've actually. Pretty clear. I mean, okay, we've got more victories, but they've got a couple of draws, and we know we can't draw for love nor money. But they're going. I mean, I know they've got another game like we have, but they're going to be up for it, having lost that 7-0 for quite a few games, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. It'll be interesting. Maybe one of the viewers can let me know who Palace have got on Boxing Day, because obviously that will have an impact on the team that they put out as well. If they're playing someone who they think is going to be more important that they beat, someone in and around them in the, I know they've probably got their own ambitions of being, on the edge of the European places. But I think, to be honest, mid-table is probably about right for Palace. So they may be looking at who they've got on Boxing Day and thinking that's a must-win for them, and they put out their strongest team and make changes as well. So it could be, big changes for both teams. So it's a really difficult one to judge about how it will go, to be honest.
Just looking on Boxing Day, Palace are actually, I've just brought it up here now, they're actually away to Aston Villa.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That won't be an easy game for them.
No.
Not I'm
going to bring Andy's comment. Brad has just mentioned that. Keep up, Brad. Be a bit quicker. Come on. What are you doing? And Andy's brought the point up, and it's a good question. Why do we play better away? And I'm going to throw this at you because it's something I think you brought up. I think it was yourself that brought up a while ago when we were talking about Maddison's form, is that he's one that likes the crowd there. He plays to the crowd, like you said in the Man United show previously. He's a bit of a showman. But with Leicester, we've got the Clappers, and you love or hate them. Personally, I love the Clappers. I think they create a great atmosphere. I think we are missing that at home.
I agree. I love the Clappers too. I know there's a lot of people around me where I sit who don't use them, but they. I think they add to it, and teams have tried to replicate that, when they've been going through bad times. And I think one of the teams who played recently, who only had a couple of thousand fans in, I think they gave them all clappers as well to try and get a bit more noise around the stadium. We were the first to do it. Others have copied, but it is part of our atmosphere now.
It is. Yeah.
It's looked on as a bit of a joke by some of the commentators or whatever, but it does help, and it does build that atmosphere. And we weren't known for having a great atmosphere, either back at Filbert Street or particularly in the early days of the King Power. And it wasn't until those clappers came in, and it almost encouraged the rest of us to make a bit of noise in that stadium, that people talked about it being an intimidating atmosphere. But I think we definitely missed that atmosphere, and some of our players struggled to perform without it.
I can remember not long having moved into the what was then the Walker Stadium, likening it to the Pork Pie Library, to similarly shaped buildings, both of which didn't generate an awful lot of noise. You can say that it moving from Filbert Street, where you had your pens behind the ground, behind the goal, etc. It was split up. Those a lot of those were split up at different parts of the ground. I think it does make a huge difference. I really do, like you say, and you can carry it on longer than you can clapping without getting sore hands. But nobody's replicated it, like you say. Nobody does replicate it. Guy here saying, and I don't know who it is, Facebook user, Rogers gets the tactic right one week, then gets it wrong the next. Again, I agree. After the Everton game, I accused us of being the hokey cokey team. We win one game, we lose one game, and we're just got to get ready to shake it all about. But when he gets it right, by God, does he get it right?
Yeah, and he seems to enjoy that sort of tactical masterclass. I think he puts a lot of thought process into it. But as that Facebook user says there, when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. In very strong way, that we don't look like getting back into games when it looks like we've lost the momentum. We come back to that thing about the strength in character of coming back. Away from teams, I think teams do come onto us, and I think it plays into our hands a little bit. We have strength in the right areas. Our fullbacks are very strong in terms of getting forward. So when you're playing away and teams are coming onto you, it gives you that opportunity to attack on the counter a lot more. At home, obviously, teams do sit back a little bit, and we struggle to break them down. We don't seem to play with the same intensity at home without the crowd. So it's a strange one, and you're right. You're saying we take 2 steps forward and 1 back, but I don't think we're alone in that this season. Most teams, I don't think there's anybody really. Maybe Liverpool recently. I don't think anybody's stringing results together. You've only got to see Wolves over the last few weeks as well, who've dropped away. Everton did it. Everton had a great start, dropped away, and now they've come back. And I think that will continue to happen. I think the key is that the players, the management, the fans keep faith with what's going on and the bigger picture, as it were. And we don't get too down on the odd little setback, because we are going to get that. It's how we respond to it that is the key.
Yeah. And it does. I mean, a lot of people have said, well, again, they're on these vast amount of money. They should be able to play whether there's a crowd there or not. And technically, yes, they should. I used to work in sales, and at one point I was sat on my own. The desk next to me was empty. There was a guy sat down. I'm still good friends with him, Simon, that joined the company. He actually worked on a different section, but was actually put on the table next to me, and just having that person next to me with a bit of banter that we had, and although we weren't selling onto the same things, it created a bit of you've got a sale, I better get and it does, and it is the same as that. And I've worked at home for March, and it is difficult to motivate yourself, as it is as when you've got people around or work colleagues, and it's got to be the same for the footballers, haven't you?
It has to be, because the fans play a hell of an important part, not just in supporting the team, but giving you stick when you're not doing it as well. Some of our, let's say, lethargic performances at home, the home crowd would not let that happen. They would be singing the old "Get Into Them," and I think it's "Messed Them Up," something like that. Anyway,
something along those lines. Yeah,
it's a family show, but that's we know that the fans don't accept us playing at a pedestrian pace. They do get on, and that level of urgency makes its way onto the pitch, and the players generally respond to it. And I think, if you're not being pushed, you are pushed by your teammates and the management. If you're not being pushed in the same way by the home crowd, then percentage of your performance will drop, and we know that happened on the comeback after lockdown. Your performance only has to drop 5-10%, and it can make a hell of a difference at this level.
Let's take a quick 30-second break, and then we'll come back and we'll just have a look at some of the comments that have been posted and answer those. Back after this.
Hi, Alan Smith here. Be sure to watch and listen to Chris on Leicester Till I Die TV. You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels. Up the Foxes!
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, everyone!
Yes, Merry Christmas. And if my daughters are watching, can I just say I do not want a mug. I said last year I do not want a mug, and Heather and Hannah, my daughters, got me that. We're talking off air, and I don't know if I can get the camera around if you can see those, but how many mugs have I got there? I mean, I'm going to have to get a mug tree just to put them on display. I tell you, I have enough mugs if my daughters are watching, and I know one of them does. But it's getting close to Christmas now. Christmas, great Christmas present, and we'll come back onto Palace in a minute. But just leading on to the questions that people are throwing at us here. The training ground, and a guy here said, or say a guy or a girl says, I hope new training ground makes the difference. I mean, it's got to, hasn't it?
For 100 million, if it doesn't make a difference, then someone's getting sacked. I mean, the pictures that we've seen so far that are admittedly appear to be leaked, but they must be. It looks fantastic, and any player has got to be excited about going to work in that environment on a daily basis. And as you touched on before, on a previous show earlier, and then it's got to attract us, surely. When they bring players around and they look at the stadium now, plans for the expansion of the stadium, but looking at that training facility, people have to be excited about it. And if we can get another top 6 finish this year, consecutive top 6 finishes, that level of training facility, people have to start taking us seriously as a top 6, top 7, top 8, whatever it is these days club, but a club in the upper echelons of probably the strongest league in the world.
It's very difficult, I think, as a football owner, and we're very lucky in the fact, yes, okay, we're not a Man City and we're not a Man United, that sort of money, but we're not a West Brom, we're not a Rochdale, we're not those sort of clubs. We are up there. If we're in that next tier, when it, we've got really, really rich owners who are fantastic owners. We know all that, but they've just got it so right. I mean, you have got to invest in players, and they are in an industry that is suffering worse than a lot at the moment with the COVID, being in the tourism industry. They're still investing. They're still giving us money to spend. I must admit, when we started when we paid 40 million for Tillemans, I thought, is this going to be the start of us 50, 60, 70 million players? It hasn't been. We've gone back to the 20. I can't believe I'm saying this. We've dropped back down to buying players for only 20 million. What's that? But this is Leicester, and I can remember Martin O'Neill saying that when he used to sign players, he used to bring them bring them out onto the Filbert Street pitch backwards so that they couldn't see the shed on the other side, and they came out looking at the big stand. You take a player to that facility there. Man City's, in fairness, is the same. They've got a great training facility. They are got to be impressed, haven't they?
They've got to be. And, this, our owners, we've said it before, and we'll continue to say it, are the most amazing owners that any football team could wish to have. And not only are they just great owners, they are very, very, very astute owners. They make the right decisions at the right times. They will get one or two wrong. We will have one or two players for whom it doesn't really work out. That's not really the owner's fault.
And managers as well, in fairness.
Exactly. They've invested in the right areas at the right time. They put investment into the playing staff first to start to build that success. They put some investment into the ground to make some tweaks there, improve the match day experience. Those huge screens that we have now are fantastic. The new lights that went in last season. And then at the right time, they invested in the training ground, which is just, I'm sure it can't be bettered, probably around Europe, to be honest. And have a model of buying young and selling for profit.
Yes.
It's a model that's worked very well for Dortmund, and in many ways, I think you could look at us as a Dortmund of the Premier League in terms of the way that we're going about it. We just need to build that consistently over a number of years. Atletico Madrid, again, another one, and some of the Portuguese teams who do it well. They churn players out, they get them in, and they make profit, but they buy quality to replace what they're selling.
I did liken us in a recent show, as you said, to Piers and Susanna, and looking at the split screen there, it's just dawned on me. I don't know if anybody actually watches Good Morning Britain, but it is very Good Morning Britainish. But I have to say that you are having a few slight problems with your camera there, Craig. You do keep your voice is carrying on, but your picture's freezing. So if my hand goes across like that, I'm actually not putting it up your bottom or anything like that, and you're not being my ventriloquist dummy. But it does look like I am working you at the moment. Funny, he has got a smile on his face, though, guys. Just look at that. Bright lights entice players like Drinkwater to Chelsea. Look what happened to him. We need the right players, which we have. We don't need bad apples. That is very, very true. But we've still got to entice, the players we're going for. And let's take Fofana as the prime example. If Liverpool come in for him and we come in for him, we've got to accept. Liverpool are the bigger draw. But then when he comes and he sees that, the stadium, he sees the new training facility, we're not the small club anymore. We are the big club, and we can compete and get those sign-ins. Somebody else here, I think, is, now we've got the new training pitch, are we going to sort of practice on taking corners? It has improved, which again we spoke on a previous show about Maddison coming back into form. Under was brilliant when Maddison wasn't playing, and Under started with his free kicks in his corner. He was actually getting them past the first man. Last game, Spurs, it was very much the short corners, but Maddison, when he was doing the long corners and the free kicks, was at least getting it past the first man now.
Yeah, I think it's clearly an area that's been highlighted, and there has to be a certain amount of embarrassment as well from the players' perspective. Maddison you know, must watch. You know, they watch back these games, and I'm sure that, you know, we all have banter. I'm sure that when that team is watching those games back, he's getting mullered by the rest of the players for those corners for not getting past the first man. So I'm sure he's been working at it and he's concentrating a little bit more. It's not just us who give players stick. I'm sure the players give each other as much stick as we give them.
Oh, Julian Watts has referred to that when he's done the post-match show. Yes, they do remind each other of things that they are getting wrong. Mark Gatwood, and we've done that one. Mark Gatwood here. It's Gatty. Rogers is stubborn in change during the game. Having said that, we have missed the fullbacks. Probably not wrong there. Players want trophies, Andy. Of course they do. But are they going to get trophy? You know, are they? If you want trophies, ambitious clubs want trophies. Ambitious clubs back that up with the good background structure. You know, it's no good having a fantastic cover to a book, and when you get inside, it's the rubbish read. You want the whole package, and that's what we're coming to. And you need to start looking for Vardy's replacement. We know we do. We know. Hopefully, we've got a special coming up. Leads me very nicely on to the special that's coming up on the 30th of December. Myself and Mark, we're going to be looking at a transfer special, and on that one, because the transfer window will be opening pretty much quite soon after that, 1st of Jan. But we'll be looking at what players we might be shifting out to give us space, time, and money, or space and money to bring players in. So Fofana is amazing on his day, never done again though. I think I'm jealous of the fact that he's got hair to dye. You know, that's the thing. But yeah, I think, and we'll just very briefly touch on this, Craig, before we go back to Palace, because it isn't that far off now, the transfer window. It's going to be a very important transfer window for Leicester because it was such a bad one last January, and it possibly cost us that Champions League place, because obviously, you know, I believe Ryan Bennett is available again. Should Brendan wish to go in for him, but have we got to make signings? And if we do, very briefly, I believe we're going to have to release a few to bring a few in.
I think it's always nice to have a couple of signings just to freshen the place up. However, you know, I'm not sure January this year is the right time to do it. You know, the season started late. We're only just starting to get a settled side back now. We've still got players to come back in. You've got to ask yourself, is it worth spending another 30, 40 million to buy a player who may not even get into this side? I think you have to look at the side when everybody's fit. Where are the weaknesses? Yes, we need backup in certain areas, but I don't think you get those in January, to be honest. You might just did my
ventriloquist bit there because you froze.
You know, you might flesh it out a little bit, maybe by getting some strength in depth. But when all our players are there, I'm not sure we could strengthen without spending a hell of a lot of money, to be honest. So I expect January to be fairly quiet. Maybe there may be another centre half in the offing. I know we're being linked already with one of the guys who played for Braga. But I'm not sure. I'm not expecting a particularly exciting January window, to be honest.
You see, I'm going to disagree with you on there in the nicest possible way, because I think if we don't spend anything in January, if we just, I mean, like you say, we have still got players to come back. Of course we have, but we've seen how we have long-term injuries that we've had. The players that have come in have done a really, really, really good job. But we know that, like Fuchs, he's played more games than, he's the poor guy. He's knackered just in the warm-up now at the moment. He's played for so many. Stephen, that he said they need a big target man up front. So I think Slimani's going to go. I think it'll be okay. We need to get rid of the deadwood. We do. But I think by getting rid of the deadwood, Slimani, possibly Inacho, Gray, that will release the funds, because I'm just worried that if we don't do anything this window and we fall away again as we did before, knowing that fans aren't very forgiving, I personally would not be happy, because it happened last season. If it happens again this season, and because we haven't bought players in, you can't do it twice and then not expect heads to roll.
No, but I don't think a lot of that was necessarily down to the fact that we didn't have the personnel. I think it was just an attitude for whatever reason. I mean, Ricky P went out of that last Villa game injured and didn't appear again. I'm not sure we missed that many other players through injury. And what I would say is, as I say, how much money are you going to spend on someone and then tell him that, by the way, you're here as a squad player, you're not going to get in the first team? Because, as I say, who would you drop out of that first team when everybody's fit? Maybe a centre half. So that's why I think maybe there might be a little bit of squad padding, but I don't think you're going to get big signings coming in.
I'm not saying this should be. I'm not saying there should be big names, but because of you, like you say, we know the players that are going to be in there if they're fit, and to replace those, we are going to have to be talking, or to get better than that. So we are going to have to spend big money, which we haven't got. The owners haven't got at the moment, I don't believe. Not only with the training ground, but with the COVID situation. But I do think we need, more cover. To say that our main two defensive centre back, cover are in the mid-30s in Fuchs and Morgan. It frightens. Benkovic might come back in. I don't know. But anyway, like I say, it's going to be an interesting January. And we will say, I think we are getting to the point, and I've got to be honest with you, I'll hold my hands up. I fall into this category. It's a transfer window we should buy. But we didn't last year, and I believe we paid the price for it. I remember one transfer window, Spurs not buying anybody, and it backfiring on them. But, hey, in Brendan we trust. But getting back, that's in January. Before then, the last game of the year, we have got Crystal Palace. Now, I've got the table here, so it's a bit of a waste of time, because obviously we've got another game and things can change. And that's the silly thing. Look, if you look at Spurs, a couple of weeks ago, they were top. They are now down in 6th. Palace are down there at the moment in 13th. It can change very, very quickly. We can't take them lightly. We know in the last couple of seasons they've whipped our arse a couple of times. Let's put it bluntly.
Yeah, and I don't think that's because they have any better players. I think it's because they play with a greater intensity. And when we come up against teams like that, we often struggle because we get outfought. We want to play our nice, pretty football, but you have to earn the right to play your nice, pretty football, and teams like Palace don't often give you that opportunity. I mean, if you take the 7 goals away that they shipped against Villa, they've let in 18, which is not a lot. So, usually games against Palace are pretty tight. There's not usually more than 1 goal in it, I would suggest. But we've got to match their endeavour for a start. We've got to match their work rate and their physicality before we even start to play our football. I thought we did that better against Spurs than we had done in the past, and I think Wilf coming back is a big part of that. He gives us that physicality. The danger is here. Do we have the squad that can do that on a quick turnaround? And I'm not sure. I think it's going to be a very, very tricky game, this Palace one.
I think we've got a bit of an advantage there because we have had to switch our squad round so much because of the injuries and because of Europa League, Thursday, Sunday games, Premier League. Brendan's kind of got that right a lot of the time, hasn't he?
He has, to be fair. We have had dodgy results, but in terms of the Europa League games and switching the squad around, he's done a great job there. We've got the results where we've needed them. So you can't really argue against him there. It's just we always look, don't we, with criticism at any game we lose. You know,
Yeah.
we could have exactly the same squad, team, play exactly the same way, and we get a lucky bounce and we won that game and we wouldn't say anything. The fact that we've lost a couple of games, we look at everything, we criticise everything, what could have been done differently. But at the end of it, he's managing the squad pretty well. There's still the odd little decision that bemuses us, shall we say.
I mean, yes, you're gonna. I mean, let's face it, we're fans. We're never going to be happy, you know. If Pep, I mean, you know, I still can't believe, and I do follow a Man City channel because the guy does a lot with me when we play each other at City Fan TV, and I mean, I can't believe, you know, you've got Man City fans calling for Pep's head. You know, I mean, he's a guy. You have you know, you got to say occasionally you have a bad season. It happens, you know, shit happens, and you work through it. But Brendan is doing a really, really good job. Will Benteke miss the game? I don't know what the position is, whether you know what's happening with Palace, but hopefully
he got sent off. So he missed the last game, but it was for 2 yellows. So my understanding is he was only missing 1 game, so he'll be back. And that level of physicality is something that I've tried to take into account with the team that I think Brendan may go with.
Which again, Craig, we are becoming almost professional here. It's almost like people will actually start to think that we rehearse this. That does lead us very, very nicely on to our formation and lineup, which I've got to be totally honest with you here, Craig. I gave you the chance because we're a game in advance here because of Christmas and you know we want time away with our families and what have you. I was going to let you off this, but no, you've gone for it like a brave soul that you are. Having made just the one change in the last show for the Man United game, which was bringing Under in, what are we going to do for this game?
Well, this team has changed so many times already, and it will probably change again. It's a really, really difficult one to call, and I'm looking at it now, and I'm still thinking maybe I've made one change too many. But let's go with this, and then we can discuss.
Can I get? Are we starting with Casper by any chance?
We are going to start with Casper. I don't think he needs a rest. I'm going to keep James Justin in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep Fofana in. And I'm going to switch around the left-hand side of this defence. I think it may be, again, you're going to laugh at this already. I think this may be the one where Morgan gets a game. Let's put it that way. I think two games in 2 days with Johnny Evans' injury issues that he's had when he gets a knock, I think he may try and give him a rest. And I think Morgan up against Benteke, that physical battle, I think may be a decent fit. And then I think it may be too much to bring Castagna back into 2 games in 2 days as well. The last thing we want is for him to get a recurrence of that injury. So I'm going to bring Thomas in down that left-hand side. So it's a back 4 of just Fofana, Morgan and Thomas.
Looking at that, Casper, he goes without saying. I see, and you made a very good point earlier about the physicality of Benteke, and with Morgan, you've got that back, haven't you?
Exactly. I mean, he relishes a physical battle. I think with him and Fofana, you've got 2 more physical centre halves than we could. Soyuncu would have been ideal. He would have loved coming up against Benteke, I'm sure. But I think Morgan gives you a bit more physicality than Evans would. Evans could get bullied around a little bit by Benteke. And even if you played Fuchs in there alongside him, I think that may be a little bit dangerous as well with Benteke's prowess in the air. I think the important thing if you're playing up against people who are good in the air, like a Benteke, Andy Carroll even, the thing is to get tight to them and give them a nudge before that ball actually reaches their head. And I think Morgan's a master at that kind of thing. So I think this could be the right game for him.
And I am going to contradict myself from what I was saying earlier about the transfer window, because I'm a host. I'm allowed to contradict myself. My role is playing devil's advocate here, so I can always change my mind and move on. But no, when I was saying about bringing players in January, on the flip side, we've got the youngsters, which we've always been good at sort of bringing the youngsters through. You look at some of them and you think, yeah, we've got to buy players. We must buy players. As I was saying earlier, is it bad if we don't buy players? And yet you've got the likes of Chowdhury that's coming through, and young Luke Thomas. You put him in, and you're not worried about. Well, I'm not worried about him. You know, he's since he's been brought in, he's done what's been asked of him and more.
He does. I think he's got a little bit to learn about his positioning. If he gets caught out at all, it's usually on a crossfield pass that he's tended to misjudge in the air. But I think that comes with coaching. That's not a talent or a skill. And I think he gives us the ability, as Justin does on the left-hand side, to get forward when the opportunity arises. If we're going to play on the break, he can carry the ball and he gets higher up the pitch. So I think, you know, he has to be given some game time, because, you know, there are going to be occasions when you do need him. And he needs experience as well. So again, as I said, you know, I think the Man United is the more important of the two. We should be looking to come away from Palace with no less than a draw. But I think Thomas in there will do a decent job. I think the threat, for me, the threat with Palace is predominantly down the left-hand side with Zaha and Eze.
I'm going to ask a controversial question here, and I'm going to ask for an answer as a straight yes or no. Thomas, can he be better than Chilwell?
Sorry, you broke up there. He said giving himself more time.
Can Thomas, and Chilwell had his haters, I know. I love Chilwell. You know, you don't get to be England's first choice left back without being half decent at what you do, despite what some of the boo boys hate. And you know, he had a goal in him as well. Giving you a bit more time here, talking along.
Thanks.
Can Thomas, yes or no, be better than Chilwell?
Every time you say that question, you break up, Chris. All I get is, can Thomas, and then you break up. And
do you want to write the fun here? So you got can Thomas, okay. Be better
than
Chilwell, yes.
And you want a straight yes or no?
Either yes or no, yeah.
As it stands now, I'm gonna go with a no.
Right.
But having said that, from a straight yes or no, he definitely can. But for me, he needs more physicality, and he's still young.
And that's a pair of scissors just so you can cut those splinters out of your bottom.
Yeah. No. Okay. Let's say yes, but I think he needs more physicality. He needs to grow into his body. I guess he's still a young kid.
Yes.
And as that one says there, he needs more seasons. If he progresses the way that he has so far, then yes, he can. Because I remember Chilwell was pretty raw when he came in. He developed, you know. So he does have all the attributes to be a successor to Chilwell.
But we've got to be happy with the fact that we've got players like that ready to come through, that we don't have to go out necessarily and spend a fortune on. Back to your team. I mean, presuming that you're still going for the 4-1-4-1, I'm guessing it's indeed sat in front of the those four. Is he being given? You're not giving him a rest, or are you going to go stick with him?
I think Mendy will come back in. To be honest, again, I think, you know, coming on the back of injuries, I think you know, indeed he's had 2-3 games now, full pelt. He gives it everything when he's on the pitch, and I think Mendy's done a decent job of filling in. And I think it's not the strongest area of the pitch for Palace for me. They've got MacArthur and McCarthy in there. I don't think they're great there, and I think Mendy will come in there, and indeed I'll have a rest. And what I will say is the changes that I'm making here, when you look at the strength of the bench that gives us, it does give Brendan the opportunity to make any changes if we're in the game and we want to go on to win it.
And with the season we're having and the way he's been playing, I don't have any fears about bringing Mendy in, to be honest with you. Yes, indeed he's and you're always going to go for him. But, Mendy's, again, done everything that's asked of him and more. And then the midfield.
Yeah. So, midfield. I'm going to bring Albrighton back in on the right because, as I said before, I think that right-hand side is the strength, or the left-hand side, sorry, is the strength of Palace, and we always seem to have problems with Zaha. He picks the ball up deep and he runs at us, and I think having Albrighton there to try and either stop the supply or to double up on him will benefit us greatly. I think we should still play Barnes on the left-hand side as well, and because I mean he's young. He should have enough games in his locker. I mean, if you would say anything, that may be an area where we don't have a lot of cover for Barnes. If you want an attacking left-hand side player, so I'm going to play Barnes again there, and in the middle I'm going to play Pratt, and then I'm going to play Perez playing just in behind. I did have Vardy, but I think he'll put Iheanacho in for this game.
I must admit, if anybody did hear a big thud, then I think that might have been Brad that's just fallen on the floor and banged his head at the thoughts of Perez starting. Yeah, I mean, if the Perez that played so well the other day turns up, yeah, that's fine. Iheanacho scares me. Because I just don't think he's what he could be. You've got to give Vardy a rest, like you say. I mean, he made the comment, in the post-match game against Spurs, he's getting on a bit and what have you. You wouldn't know it to look at him sometimes, but yeah, you've got to protect him. It's like Alan Shearer when he got older. You can't drop him, but you play him. But you've got to protect him. My worry is, I was so excited when we got Iheanacho in, and I thought Iheanacho and Vardy, the speed of them two, they're just going to scare every defence in the league. Found out they can't play together at all. But like you say, who else have we got there? Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong in Kelechi. Prove me wrong.
Indeed, I think he's got. I think in terms of, they're quite big and physical, and I think Iheanacho's got good feet. He's got quick feet, and I can see him, if we can get the ball into him in and around his feet, he could be drawing quite a few fouls, which would play into our hands as well.
Stephen there, great analysis, lads. Thank you very much, Stephen. You're more than welcome. Thanks for joining us again on YouTube. Looking to see Barnes and Thomas hook up on the left as they complement each other. They did the other night, certainly. And thanks for the compliment there. Like I say, I so want Iheanacho to prove me wrong. It's hard being in Vardy's shadow. Of course it is. And like you say, if he does do that, let's hope he plays to Iheanacho's strengths and doesn't use Iheanacho in the Vardy role, which we know, Iheanacho can't play in that role. Right, we are going to be having a look at a certain classic game in 1 second, and we will be back after this.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chumps. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Pinterest. All you need for everything Leicester City FC. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. Now available on... Hi, this is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy.
I will eventually get used to that delay. I really will. Right, let's go. First of all, at the score predictions. Forgotten this. Palace against Leicester. Classic Jamie Vardy Eagle. I love that, and I think that will be remembered for many years. Steve Walsh, as always. Well, we've all four of us think we're going to win. Steve Walsh 2-0 to us. Steve Linux 2-0. Ian Marshall 2-1. He thinks we'll let one slip. I've gone for a great big 3-0 because I think it's going to be one of those games when we might just turn it on a bit. It might even be more, but I've got for conservative 3-0. And I have a feeling Craig might be going for a 3-1 or a 3-2.
I don't know where you've got that idea, Chris. It's not like I mention that every week, to be honest. I think you're very bold there with the 3-0. Personally, I would temper that just because of the team that I think we may put out. It may be that they've got something to prove, some of these players, and they go out and put on a great show. I think it'll be a cagey affair. I think it'll be, it may be pretty dull, to be honest. So I am going to go for a victory, but I'm going to go 2-1. 2-1.
I've gone for 3-0 purely on the basis that not picking an Nacho to start and having Vardy on there for at least a minimum of 30 minutes. He does like to score against Palace. Now then, everybody that's still watching, you've stuck with us. Very, very good. The Viagra's kicking in, and we're still going here for the second show of the evening. I'm just waiting. I am just waiting for Craig's hat to start going straight. Here we go. That's it.
I was going to say, yeah, the Viagra has definitely kicked in there.
Yes. Yeah. Mine just flopped off completely. I've just gone, hey, hands free. What can I say? I don't know if I did actually have problems with my mobile phone earlier, but I had to delete all my German contacts. Now it's hands free. Come on.
Have you got any other crackers that you want to pop while you're there? Get some more gags.
I could pop my crackers all night given a chance, but I think I like to quit while I'm still not too far behind. We have got a classic match that Craig is going to discuss with us. Palace versus Leicester classic match, and a bit of fun, guys. You're still with us. Join in. Get ready for this question from Craig.
Exactly. Now this is going to take us back a little more, a little further than the Manchester United one that we did in a previous show that was on a different day. It's almost like we're Graham Norton pretending that we're recording this on a Friday.
Exactly.
So I'm going to run you through the team, the starting team again of this classic match, and I'm going to ask you to tell me who I've left out of this starting 11. So I'm going to take you back to an amazing game, 27th of May, 1996, Wembley, playoff final, Crystal Palace, Leicester City. Won in the most dramatic of fashions in the 120th minute, the last minute of extra time, off Claridge's shin.
Sorry, mate, I am not laughing at you there, other than the fact that I'm laughing at the fact that your hat is still straight up.
This is good stuff. I haven't skimped on this.
You've not bought Old Boots own brand, have you? You've got the full Viagra.
Top quality pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. Do carry on. It's just making me laugh. I'm gonna have to do this for a bit. I'm gonna have to do this for a second.
Thanks. Yeah, you're trying to sort yourself out now, aren't you, Chris? I hope you're not getting too excited by the sight of my erect hat. So Leicester City 2, Crystal Palace 1 at the end of it. A fantastic game, and that's for me to know, Stephen. Claridge wins it in the 120th minute after we sub Kevin Poole, the keeper, for Kalach with the impending penalty shootout, which we never needed. Anyway, going back to that great day, anybody who was there, anybody who was watching it, you do have to be of a certain era. But I'm going to give you the starting lineup and Chris and everyone who's watching, can you tell me who I've missed out of this starting lineup?
I'll probably say no, because I couldn't do the last one on the other show that we did, the other day.
Yeah. So Kevin Poole,
Yes.
Simon Grayson,
Yes.
Steve Walsh, Mike
Yes.
Whitlow, Gary
Yes.
Parker, Muzzy Izzet, Neil Lennon, Scott Taylor, Emil Heskey, and Steve Claridge. Who is missing from that starting
we've got
lineup?
Kevin Poole in goal.
Yeah.
Whitlow, Grayson, Walsh, Parker. Is it Lennon, Taylor, Heskey, Claridge?
Yep.
Now, what I'm going to do there is I am actually going to message you privately, because I think I know who this might be, but without shouting it out, and see what people say. So I don't know if you got my private message there.
Yeah.
So it is the playoff final when Spider Kalic, who the famous Dracula goalkeeper that when he did play for us was always scared of crosses, but went on, in fairness, I think, to play for AC Milan.
I think he did.
He did. Coming on in defence. Did you get my message, by the way, Craig?
Oh, you've messaged me, have you?
Yeah, I sent you a
tell me
private
who
message.
you think it is.
Yeah, I sent you a private
Okay.
message on here. No, on the
What-
StreamYard.
Right. Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen.
So
I've
we've
seen
got-
that,
we've
and
got-
you are correct.
Yes, yeah. So we got Kevin Poole in goal. Great goalkeeper. I loved him. We had Whitlow, Grayson, Walsh, and Gary Parker. Again, I loved Gary Parker, one of our great players. I mean, it was a great team. Is it Lennon, Taylor, and then, of course, Heskey and Claridge? Claridge with the shin, which he now obviously denies that it was his shin, but just the fact that he had to say something. Nobody has got it right yet. Nobody's got it right yet. So what player is missing from that starting 11? Come on, guys. You could have even Googled it by now. You know.
What are your recollections of that? And what are anybody's recollections of that day if they were there or watching on TV? Because for me, it was just one of the most amazing moments.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I was watching it on the telly, and it's my wife. My wife thought I was having a heart attack, sort of 30 odd years before I did actually have a heart attack. But I mean, when that goal went in, I mean, it was the timing. It was. I can remember when they swapped the goalkeeper, and they were lucky to have the time done. He just got that swap in. But I can remember the commentator being surprised because they said Kevin Poole. He was quite short, Kevin Poole, but he wasn't bad at stopping penalties. But you know, Kalic was obviously 6'7", whatever he was, absolutely filled the goal. And when that went in, it was like you knew that there was no coming back. There was absolutely no coming back from it. And we'd been disappointed so many times. Now, I can remember driving, I lived in Burnley at the time, driving down to watch Leicester be beaten by Swindon, and then driving all the way back up. And that was 4 hours that I never spoke to my wife. And I said to my wife, do not speak to me for this whole journey. It's the longest she ever went quiet. But I think you can win a game. You know, you can win like, you know, let's look at the 9-0 when we beat Southampton. You can win games like that, and they are brilliant. You can win games like that, and one, you know, with the last minute, and it's just in a lot of ways more exciting.
Yeah, I mean, if you could choose any way to get promoted out of the Championship, you know, a last kick of the game winner at Wembley is surely the way to go. And I think, interestingly enough, if I remember correctly, Palace did exactly the same the following year. I can't remember who they played, but I'm sure there was a guy called Hopkins, I think, who curled one into the top corner in the last minute of, I think it was extra time again or normal time, but it was their last second goal that they got promoted the following season. So they had the downside of it with us, but they had the flip side and got promoted the following season via Wembley. Just an amazing game.
Yeah, it was. Last chance, guys. Paul in goal. And the rest of the 10, Whitlow, Grayson, Walsh, Parker, Is it Lennon, Taylor, Heskey, Claridge. Who is missing from that starting 11 in that playoff victory over Palace? I got it right.
Have we got any wrong guesses?
Yes, we have. We've got a couple of wrong guesses here. We've got no correct guesses yet, so I'm going to win the prize. I'm going to win the £500 you've donated, Craig. They beat Sheffield United the following season, apparently, but that Brad may know that, but he doesn't know who the player is that's missing. I don't know who this is. I was there. My ex-wife was called a word by steward. They had to manhandle me out, and I'm not violent. She's of Polish descent. There's no need for any of that from any stewards or anybody like that. And I think the fact that we are trying to kick it out of the game is the best thing that can happen. So I think somebody, as I can see, has just been on Google now, because his first answer was wrong. His first two answers were wrong. There's only been one, but he's been brave enough. He's the only guy brave enough to have a go at it. Guppy wasn't, and we all love Steve Guppy. Elliot, it wasn't. Finally, yeah, you got it right. And the guy that now actually comes on to Leicester Till I Die post-match show when he's free, Julian Watts. And I believe he headed it down for Claridge's winner, didn't he?
I think he did. You could probably check with him when he's next on. But out of that lineup, it had to be Watts, our very own good friend of the channel, Julian Watts.
Yes, very good friend of the channel. In fact, I'm just looking here because again, Julian Watts did do the favourite things. I think it was a case that it's gone down officially as somebody else, but he claims it was him that actually headed it down. I can't find it just now, but it did. It was Julian Watts, good friend of the channel, does the post-match show.
Feel free to mention next time he's on that Brad didn't remember him. We will give Brad a little bit of leeway.
I've got to be honest
Brad,
with you.
Brad was probably about 4.
In fairness, I'm not sure. There's a couple of Brads. If it's our Brad, I will remind him, but it might be Brad Hicksy Hicks, so it might be him. I think it might be the Brad Hicksy Hicks because he's not signed in. Okay. Stephen, you see, in fairness, well done for owning up. It was Google. It's not often, I guess. I got the Manchester United one on the previous show on the previous night. I didn't get that at all. But I honestly, I did get that right, and I did get it without the use of Google. Stephen, Facebook user, didn't Julian Watts get a few own goals? I'm not sure. I know you might be Frank Sinclair, who at one point I think was leading the goal.
Yeah. I can say when it comes to own goals, it's Frank Sinclair who's the one to beat.
Yes. No, I was 3.
There you go.
I think that is there we go. That Brad Hicksy there. Well, thanks for joining us, Brad. Yeah, Frank Sinclair, the king of the own goals. I think in fact he topped the scoring charts for a while in that season just with own goals, But Craig, again, Piers Morgan to my Susanna Reid, thank you so much. You're still erect, proudly erect there. You're not becoming flaccid at all. I am very impressed. I think somebody's going to have a good night tonight. Craig, I know Christmas is absolutely to cop this year. Enjoy yourself, do the best you can, and having a good time.
Very much.
And stay safe. And we shall see you in the new year.
Yeah, I'd like to wish all Leicester City fans, everyone watching, and Leicester City fans everywhere, a really happy Christmas, and let's look forward to a fantastic 2021.
I think it's going to be a good season. Check us out on Christmas Eve. If you're not doing anything on Christmas Eve at 1 o'clock, I'm sure there's nothing you can be doing as exciting as watching us. I will be on here with Mark. Hopefully, if he's come out of hospital okay. Our best wishes go out to Mark, who does the European and transfer shows with us. He's been in hospital and might be having to go in for an emergency operation, or if not, it will certainly be a post-Christmas operation. So, Mark, if you're watching, mate, from Craig and myself, all the best. And hopefully your catheter will not overfloweth, as they say. And hope you'll be okay. He'll be joining me, though, he says quite confidently, on Christmas Eve, 1 o'clock, when we'll be looking at the season so far. So picking our best bits out of the season. But Craig, like I say, it's been great, mate. Your knowledge is good because I have none at all. Thank you so much for everything you've done and for joining us twice this evening.
Yeah, twice this evening, Chris.
Well, we won't say too much.
Yeah, we can only push the charade so far, but thank you. It's been great as always.
We can. And let's quit while we're ahead. I might struggle to do it twice tonight, but definitely not 3 times. Greg, thank you very much, mate. You stay safe and have a really good Christmas. Guys, I will be back tomorrow night. Yep, you not got rid of me that easily. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, we are going to be doing the opposition view with a Manchester United fan. Finally managed to get hold of one. He's going to come on, do the show with us. I'm sure I might have to press that Harry Maguire play button again on the video clip. 7 o'clock, Man United, opposition view. 1 o'clock, Christmas Eve, with Mark, the season review. And, of course, do not forget Boxing Day, half an hour before kickoff, here with Josh doing the pre-match show, 40 minutes after the final whistle, the post-match show with Brad. What more could you want other than Leicester Till I Die for Christmas? Guys, it's been a pleasure. If we don't see you before Christmas, have a good one, stay safe, and just do what you can. All the best now, and hopefully see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Good night now.
This is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy. Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Shut up and sit down.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.